everyone. Welcome back to Tech and Talks Coffee Chat. My name is Martin, and I lead business development for life sciences at Vittorio. I'm really looking forward to our conversation today with Rolf. Rolf, for those who don't know you yet, would you mind introducing yourself as well, please?
Of course. So Martin, first of all, thanks for having me and thank you very much for the invitation. So I have a twofold background. So the one is being an industry leader in the pharmaceutical industry. So having my own responsibility with larger sales forces, with specialty sales forces, with MSLs, key account management structures, and so on. And then later I had the opportunity to work in leading strategy houses, where we developed everything that had to do with commercial innovation, so around everything that had to do with customer-facing organizations.
Perfect. Good to have you with us today, Rolf. So today's topic is going to be building and leading a high-performing field force. So independent research actually shows that the overall customer satisfaction index, CSAT, shows room for improvement in pharma. So what's your take on this? Why is pharma lagging behind in comparison to other industries, for example?
Yeah, Martin, I would not agree by saying they're lagging behind, but there is significantly room for improvement. So you're absolutely right. So looking into the customer satisfaction index, there is room for improvement. But look, pharma is still a very regulated industry. And there is not the similar level of knowledge about the customers as in other industries. This has a lot to do more or less with transparency. So prescribing behavior is not as transparent as it is in B2C and B2B businesses. A second reason is that also the adoption time, so for new things like digital technical innovation and AI, this is moving slower. So also due to regulatory hurdles, compliance hurdles, so that we see in the industry. And then the third reason is also pharma is not as competitive as it is in other industry. This has to do with, let's say, there's still a business with higher margins. And then innovative products quite often offer true USPs. So there is a differentiation. So therefore, it differs from other industries. And finally, it's a combination of manifold reasons. But I have to admit that pharma has made significant progress. So over the years, so looking over the fence and bringing in more best practices from other industries in the meantime. So they are on track, they're on a good way, but as I said at the very beginning, there is room for improvement. Yes.
That's a good point and a great perspective. Thanks for sharing on it. So there's a specific gap there. So if you want to build on that, what would you say? What can pharma specifically do to catch up on something like that? And I mean, there are many topics, but when we take a look at that, and also follow-up question to that, what would you say? What role plays training and learning, for example, when it comes to something like this?
Yeah, I guess so. Training and learning plays a very important role. So let me start with a quote. So if you always follow others, you can never get on the highway. So this means so if you're always doing the same things, so like training through coaches, so personal interaction, these type of things, and then pharma has also let's say behind a kind of a trial and error period. So where they tried with e-learnings, so they made some good experiences, some not so good experiences, but just applying modern things, so like what we're discussing, AI-supported training, I think this is certainly something where they could do significantly more. And then along the lines, so they need to think also about customizing more of the things, because pharma quite often, so they're in a kind of a steady state and not flexibilizing their customer-facing organization along the lines of let's say, the life cycle stage of a product. Here could be done significantly more, followed by customized training.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for elaborating on that, Rolf. So, I mean, continuous learning seems to be a key driver for innovation and also compliance in pharma, but I guess that's true for almost any industry. So, moving forward from this now on a related note, would you perceive something like AI-supported training as a mix of an orchestrated training approach, or more as a methodology for certain situations, I guess?
Yeah, good question, Martin. Yeah, so I think it depends a bit on the situation of the pharma company. Yeah, so when we had the COVID situation, yeah, so we all of a sudden saw that many pharma companies, they do not have a multi-channel type of approach. They do not even have consent, yeah, to access a physician's office, yeah, so through other ways than just more or less a face-to-face interaction with the sales rep. So therefore, if you don't have a kind of a multi-channel type of approach in place, yeah, so I would say AI support or AI driven support in terms of learning. Yeah, so could be a standalone exercise. Yeah, so if you have a multi-channel environment already, yeah, it could become embedded somehow. Yeah, so into a broader network. Yeah, in combination with other tools. Is it e-learning or is it other methodologies?
Makes sense. I mean, this then also though brings up one I think important aspect for me as well when we look at this AI induced training methodologies. What's your take on the USPs of them?
I think this is quite obvious. Yeah. So it is very fast. Yeah. And so time is money. On the other side, there is a cost aspect. Yeah. So I think it doesn't cost as much as if you would do more or less a coaching driven type of interaction. Yeah. So, and therefore it's also less complex. Then you can do a lot more or less in terms of tailored and customized trainings. Yeah. So with personas. It looks like being very motivational also for the sales force. Yeah. So then the sales reps, the CAMs, the MSLs, they do get also direct feedback very quickly. It will also enhance internal competition. I think we should not underestimate that aspect. And what I've heard so far, it increases performance so of products. So in comparison to the competition significantly.
I think that sums it up quite well, Rolf. Thanks so much for your input today. It was a pleasure speaking to you again on this topic. And yeah, everyone else listening, thanks so much for tuning in. And feel free if you have any questions to directly reach out to Rolf or to me. Thanks, Rolf.